Musicians are some of the most important artists when it comes to influencing society and everyday human experience. They, for a living, create bodies of work that travel with listeners throughout time, pulling us out of low moments in life and soundtracking the best parts of it. It's not hard to understand how an emotional attachment can be formed to that artist, and why when that artist perishes, it affects their fans so much. One of the most unexpected and devastating deaths to ever take place in the music world was that of young entertainer Aaliyah. In just 22 years of life, she created some of the most innovative R&B albums in history, quickly cementing her status as a trendsetter and futurist. To contemporary artists, Aaliyah's contributions to music, fashion, and beauty have become boundless sources of inspiration. However, while her influence is still very prominent, her legacy is not being kept in that same mint condition. This is mainly due to the huge void in Aaliyah's catalog on digital streaming services such as Apple Music and Spotify. Every day, as Aaliyah's influence grows stronger, remembrance of the source material is fading further into obscurity, putting her legacy at the risk of being forgotten. But why is Aaliyah's music so important? Who's holding on to it? And how can it be saved? Let's talk about it. This is Understanding Aaliyah. Aaliyah Dana Houghton was born in Brooklyn, New York on January 16th of 1979. Her name comes from the Arabic language, meaning the highest, most exalted one, the best. As a young child, Aaliyah was both athletic and creative, taking up a variety of sports as well as adopting a passion for singing passed down by her mother. At the age of 5, Aaliyah's family moved from New York to Detroit, enrolling her in a private elementary school. She joined the school's prestigious drama program and instantly fell in love with performing in plays such as Annie and 42nd Street. It was in these moments when she realized that being in entertainment was something that she wanted to do for the rest of her life. By the age of 9, Aaliyah's family hired her uncle named Barry Hankerson as her manager. For context, Barry was a longtime producer who formerly married and managed singer Gladys Knight before they divorced in 1979. It was his experience and expertise in the entertainment business that would prepare Aaliyah to enter it herself. Aaliyah began going out for jobs, eventually scoring an audition on the singing competition show Star Search. She performed a beautiful rendition of Frank Sinatra's My Funny Valentine, and even at that young age, she exuded an elegance and angelic quality that would follow her into adulthood. Unfortunately, she lost to another performer, but like a true professional, she dried her tears, got herself up, and enjoyed the rest of the show. The following year, through connections with her uncle Barry, Aaliyah got the opportunity to perform with Gladys Knight at a 5-night Las Vegas concert. This would prove important to Aaliyah's development, as Gladys taught her about stage presence and how to captivate an audience. It was around this time when Barry began shopping her around to different record labels. Due to no label being interested, Barry decided to start his own label in 1993 called Blackground Records. He signed Aaliyah as the first artist and secured a distribution deal with Jive Records for her debut album. When thinking of who Aaliyah should collaborate with, Barry decided to utilize an unknown singer he was managing at the time who went by the name R. Kelly. Aaliyah and R. Kelly met, and they began recording her debut album at the start of '93, finishing the bulk of it by the end of summer that year. Aaliyah released her record titled Age Ain't Nothing But a Number on May 24th of 1994. The album is a collection of groovy tracks that infuse R. Kelly's New Jack Swing production with Aaliyah's smooth, minimalistic falsettos. While most R&B singers at the time were concerned with showing off the extent of their voices, Aaliyah's sweet spot was in her restraint. She was more attentive to communicating a laid-back energy that vibrated throughout her dancing, personality, and fashion. During the promotional run for the album, one of the prominent marketing tactics used was that Aaliyah did not reveal her exact age, only ever admitting that she was somewhere in her mid-teens. This ambiguity not only matched the overall theme of the album, but it also added a level of mystique to her already mysterious persona. She stated her reasoning for not revealing her age was in hopes that people would listen to her music and not be fixated on her being young. However, as soon as the album dropped, rumors began to swirl that she was in a relationship with the 27-year-old man who produced her whole project, R. Kelly. Aaliyah went on interviews denying that the relationship was anything but platonic, arguing that when you're in the entertainment business, people are gonna talk and you can't control what they say. Things would take a very dark turn for the two when Vibe magazine obtained a marriage certificate stating that the two wed on August 31st of 1994 at the Sheraton Gateway Suites in Rosemont, Illinois. While the document stated that Aaliyah was 18, it was confirmed through her publicist and record label that she was in fact 15 years old. Aaliyah's parents, reportedly furious, annulled the marriage in February of 1995, and Aaliyah was sent on an international tour all over America, Japan, Europe, and South Africa. Within a few months, Aaliyah's father replaced her uncle as her personal manager, and Blackground Records moved distributors from Jive to Atlantic, gaining control of her masters in the process. That will be an important piece of information later in the story. As the years have gone by, many have wondered how anything past a professional relationship could transpire in the first place. Was no one on Aaliyah's team clocking the suggestive nature of the songs that a 14-year-old girl was singing? The situation only gets more dark when considering the plethora of allegations R. Kelly has today having to do with sexual misconduct of minors. Whatever the true nature of the relationship was, they were both adamant on not publicly disclosing any details and leaving it in the past. This era was undoubtedly a tough time for Aaliyah, but rather than giving in to the unfair public scrutiny, she got through the situation with grace. The separation from R. Kelly would inadvertently allow Aaliyah to collaborate with new producers and musically come into her own. Aaliyah released her second studio album, titled One in a Million, on August 27th of 1996. This record showed a complete stylistic shift in her music, moving away from the classic R&B sound of her predecessor to more futuristic, off-kilter beats. The shift was mainly due to the genius minds of Timbaland and Missy Elliott, who wrote and produced 9 tracks as well as set the tone of the album. While radio programmers were initially reluctant to play Aaliyah's new songs due to the unique production, they eventually gave in and the album ended up becoming a huge success, sitting on the Billboard 200 for 67 weeks and going 2 times platinum in the US. It helped push Aaliyah into mainstream territory, and it wasn't long before the endorsements would start rolling in. In 1997, Aaliyah was signed on to become the brand ambassador for Tommy Hilfiger, featuring in their adverts, commercials, and fashion shows. It was the perfect collaboration because Aaliyah's feminine take on street style mixed perfectly with the brand's attempt at reaching a larger audience in the hip-hop community. Though Aaliyah was sporting the men's clothing at the time, she would ultimately become the inspiration behind the creation of Tommy's women's collection. Once the success of the album subsided, Aaliyah was tired and decided to take a break to be with her friends and family, as well as prepare for her third project. In the meantime, she featured on some soundtracks to hold her fans down, and they ironically turned into her biggest career highlights. In 1997, she recorded a song for the animated movie Anastasia, which sent her to the Oscars, making her the youngest singer to ever perform there. The following year, in 98, she featured on the Dr. Dolittle soundtrack with her song Are You That Somebody, which earned her a Grammy nomination. Aaliyah was also getting involved in movies, starring as the lead character in the action film Romeo Must Die. Her performance was praised for being so natural that she was getting filmmakers calling her agency, lining her up for a plethora of movies. Because of the way in which the movies and soundtracks were stacked, they were getting in the way of the recording of her next album, and she missed out on collaborations with some of her idols, like Trent Reznor and Janet Jackson. Aaliyah released her final self-titled album in the summer of 2001. The record is a collection of expertly curated tracks that showcase Aaliyah's determination to be a trendsetter and pioneer. Utilizing in-house producers from Blackground Records, they all help Aaliyah venture out to multiple genres, such as Quiet Storm, rock, trip-hop, and techno. Lyrically, the album sees her dealing with more adult topics, such as domestic abuse on the track Never No More, and the desire to be a man's side chick on the track I Can Be. This transition into womanhood was also modeled in her fashion, with Aaliyah trading in her hardcore street style for silky gowns, thigh-high slits, and sultry pieces from designers like Robert Cavalli. Commercially, the album debuted at number 2, selling nearly 200,000 copies within its first week, becoming her highest first-week sales. It seemed that everything in Aaliyah's life was lining up perfectly. She had a successful career, fell madly in love with boyfriend Damon Dash, and was in such a place of gratitude. In interviews, she was constantly thanking God for her blessings and discussing how much she enjoyed the prospect of being a legendary entertainer. It wouldn't be until August 25th of 2001, when she went to do the music video for her third single, Rock the Boat, that things would go terribly wrong. After a day of intense shooting in the Bahamas, Aaliyah and 7 of her team members boarded a small twin-engine Cessna plane flown by pilot Luis Morales, who was later found to have cocaine and alcohol in his system. Shortly after takeoff, the plane, which was hundreds of pounds overweight, nosedived into a marsh, exploded on impact, and killed all 9 on board. The world would be forever rocked by the news of Aaliyah's death, and it didn't take long for tributes from her peers to come in, admiring the kind, gentle, and authentic soul that she was. Till this day, it's recognized as an unbelievable tragedy that robbed the world of a talent with such a bright future. At the date of this video's posting, it's been nearly 20 years since the death of Aaliyah. Interestingly enough, while Aaliyah's music was a pioneer for trends in futurism, her catalog is still living as if it were the 90s, far away from the digital atmosphere. If you look on streaming services, you'll only find her first album, with her other 2 arguably more important works nowhere to be found. So where exactly is Aaliyah's music? As you remember, Blackground Records got a hold of Aaliyah's masters when they switched distributors from Jive to Atlantic after the whole R. Kelly situation. Well, following Aaliyah's death, Blackground Records went through some tough times. They were constantly switching distributors, burning bridges with big-time labels, and getting sued left and right from artists on their rosters, such as Timbaland and Toni Braxton. After enough lawsuits, the record label eventually went defunct. However, not before selling a portion of the publishing rights for Aaliyah's music to Reservoir Media. Reservoir holds the ability to license Aaliyah's music for things like films and TVs and sampling purposes, hence why artists like Normani and Justine Skye have been able to sample her music in their latest projects. But Reservoir Media's power pretty much stops there, as they can't distribute Aaliyah's music the way a record label can. That power still remains at the greedy hands of Blackground president and Aaliyah's uncle, Barry Hankerson. For some odd, unexplainable reason, he doesn't want Aaliyah's music to be on streaming services, and he won't inform the public as to the reason why. Whether he'll ever budge and finally release his niece's music remains a complete mystery, but Aaliyah's fans know not to hold their breath for too long. Year after year, her estate promises her music is coming to streaming services, but plans always end up falling through, leaving fans disappointed. It's a shame because Aaliyah spent 22 years of her life on this earth just wanting to share her talents with the world. The fact that it's being gatekept is not only unfair to the fans, but also unfair to the writers, producers, and generation of kids who are simply unaware of her existence but are still witnessing her influence. At the end of the day, Aaliyah's uncle is the only person who can put an end to this situation, and hopefully one day he'll realize that no paycheck can match the true value of Aaliyah's art. She was a one-of-a-kind musician whose discography, story, and legacy deserves to be preserved in the digital world for generations to come. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, it would be greatly appreciated if you liked, comment, and subscribed. To be notified when a new video is up, make sure to hit the bell button after subscribing. If you would like more pop culture content, feel free to follow Flashy Magazine on Instagram. That's all I got for now. Thank you guys again for watching, and I'll catch you guys with the next video real soon.